Now I've cut out my fabric. As you can see, this is a front bodice and this is a back bodice, and also the neckband. So the next step is to place notches on the necessary points, which I've done. You have to place notches on the dart point, okay, so that we know the exact points to transfer the dart on your fabric. Then I repeated the same process on the back panel. I placed notches on the seam allowance point on the waist level. I placed notches on the empire level, the bust level, and also the shoulder line. That is the seam allowances on the shoulder line. And also you needed to notch the center of the neck at the center front, okay. So this is the back panel. I also added 1 inch as zipper allowance, so that is what would join the back together, because this is going to be in pieces after cutting. Okay, so the next step is to remove my pattern from my fabrics. In constructing a halter neck top, the first step is to pick the dart. So I'll be picking the dart on the front and back panels. Okay, this is what I have for the front, as you can see. So this has to be done on the wrong side of the fabric. So with the help of the notches I have on my fabric, I will replot the dart on my fabric and pick on both sides. Then for the back panel as well, you can see I have my notches there already. Then I will plot my dart and pick the dart. So I'll be doing this off the camera and I'll be back to show you the results. So guys, this is what I have after picking the darts. This is for the front and this is for the back. Okay, so the next step is to join the sides together, and I'll be placing the back piece on the front piece, right side facing the right side. So this is how this works, right? There is a side that will match each side. This is the upper part of the back panel and this is the lower part, and it has to be right side facing the right side. So definitely this will not work for this side, it will be for the other side. Okay, then I will be joining the sides together with 1 inch seam allowance I added. I will join this by this side and I will join the other side, and I'll be back to show you the results. Now I've joined the two sides together and this is what I have. Okay, then I trim this side in order to have the shape of the armhole. So this is what I have after joining. Okay, this is how it looks before I trimmed it off. After joining, you have to shape this side, that is the armhole area, in order for the back panel to have the shape of the armhole. So I'll just pick this, then trim, following the shape of the armhole I have on the front panel. So can you see what I have? So by the time I open this up, I will have something like this. You can see that little shape of the armhole I have around here. Okay, so the next step is to attach the neckband. So this is the neckband I cut out. So I have to tell you guys this: when you are cutting out your neckband, make sure you cut your fabric unbiased. Okay, it has to be folded in a triangular form. So this is what it means by cutting unbiased. You fold one edge of your fabric, hold it like so, then you fold in a triangular form. Okay, can you see what I have? Then this is the band pattern. Here is the center, and I place the center on the folded side like so. Then adjust this until it matches up with the pattern. This is what it means by cutting unbiased. Okay, so if I cut this unbiased, by the time I stretch this, it will be stretchy a little, not much, but it will be a little bit stretchy, so that by the time I want to attach this along this shape, you can see this shape is not on a straight line. This will make it easier to attach. Okay, so that is why you have to cut this unbiased. Now it's time to work on the neckband. Here is the wrong side and this is the right side. So firstly, I'll be fusing my band with a fusible interfacing. A soft one is okay. So after fusing, then I'll fold this into half like so and give it a good press. so that this center shape will come out well. So after giving it a good press, then I'll fold this into two again in order to get the midpoint. So after getting the midpoint, then I'll place a notch on that point. So let it be after fusing and after ironing, okay, so that that point doesn't get shifted. So I'll place the notch and I'll be back to show you the results. So guys, this is what I have after fusing the band. You can see what I have, and I folded into two and give it a press and also notch the center as I said. So the next step is to attach the band around the neckline. So I'll be placing the notch points on the notch points like so. So guys, this is what I have after attaching the band. As you can see, this is the right side of the top and this is the wrong side, okay. And I also apply a top stitch. So that is why I have this on the wrong side, and I place notches on the seam allowance, so which will help this to turn over easily, okay. So the next step is to finish the neck band. In finishing the neck band, I will be folding this into two. Equally. Then I will insert the neck circumference measurement again. Okay, so I'll be inserting half of the neck circumference measurement I'm working with, which is 7.75, and I will mark the point. So after marking the point, on the left hand side of the top, I needed 2 inches extra. So I needed 2 inches. Then I will open, you can see I've opened up the band and I'll insert the 2 inches. So that was why I added extra inches when I was cutting the band. Okay, so that's a 2 inches point. And I'm folding this back again in order to transfer this point on the other side of the band, so which is here. Then on the right hand side, I needed 1/2 inch. On this side, just 1/2 inch. So this is the point. Then here I will be adding 1/2 inch. So now I'm extending this straight down to have a perfect straight line. And on this side too. Okay, so after these 2 inches point, I will trim off the excess. Then on this 1/2 inch point as well, I will trim off the excess. So then at this edge, I will measure 1/2 inch inward. Okay, so the next step is to stitch this. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm folding this right side facing the right side. That's the band, right side facing the right side, and I'll be stitching with the 1/2 inch I marked out. From this edge inward 1/2 inch, I will stitch it down. Okay, but I will not stitch up to the seam allowance point. So this as well, I'll be stitching on 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, then I'll come to this point. So that is the point where the front neckline stops, and I'll place a notch on that point. So make sure the notch doesn't exceed the seam point. So with this, I'll be able to hold the two edges together easily, and I will stitch on 1/2 inch as well. So 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. Okay, so I'll be repeating the same process on this side as well, which is the right side. So where the neckline, the front neckline stops here, I'll place a notch. So with this, I'll be able to hold this together. Okay, so I'll hold this together like so. Then stitch on 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm stitching here, then I will stitch here, then I'll be back to show you the results. So guys, this is what I have after stitching. I stitch here and I stitch on this side as well. So the next step is to turn this inside out, but before turning it inside out, I will have to trim down the seam allowance I have here. Okay, so I've trimmed off the seam allowance. Then I will also notch the remaining parts of the seam allowance. So please be careful when you are doing this. Don't cut off your seam. Don't notch to the seam point. Okay, I'll be repeating the same process on this side as well. I will place my notches, then trim off the seam allowance. So this will help the band to lay flat. Okay, to not look bulky inside. Then I can go ahead, then turn this inside out. So make sure you bring out the edges as much as possible. So that is what I'm trying to do with the help of my scissors. So I'll bring this out as much as I can. Okay, so can you see what I have? Then on the other side, I did the same thing. I repeated the same process on the other side, and this is what I have. So the next step is to finish the neckline like so. So you can see what I have. So the remaining 1/2 inch seam allowance I have on the neckline will be folded inward to cover up the seam. I'll fold this in like so. Can you see what I have? And I will secure it with my sewing pin. Give it a good press, then run a stitch around the edges. So guys, this is what I have after finishing the band. You can see how neat it looks. You can see how neat it looks, and also the inside is not bulky, it's flat. Okay, so the allowance I have here is for finishing the edges of the armhole, either with facing or with lining. Okay, and the other side as well. Then this is the back for the zipper. So this is the center back. Can you see how beautiful the halter neck top looks? Okay, so this is the part that will overlap on the neck. Okay, so this can be held together with hook and eye or with a fancy button. Okay, and yeah, we are good. Thanks so much guys for watching this video to the end. I'm very sure you've gotten value in today's tutorial. Why can't you go ahead and smash the subscribe button now so that you won't miss any of my subsequent videos. Till we meet next time, when I will be dishing out another fresh tutorials from my wealth of knowledge. Always do remember, there is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs.